That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. So our next question is, we'd like to ask if you would each speak about what you consider to be the most important practice or teaching in your tradition. So Gurudev, may we ask you, what do you consider the most important practice and teaching in yoga?
The essential teaching and the goal of yoga is to make the mind calm. Yoga chitta vritti nirodha, says the Raja Yoga. The beginning, definition for yoga. That means whatever the waves that are created in the chitta, the mind, total mind, calm it down, balance it. Another definition called samatvam yoga uchyate. That means balance, equanimity is yoga. For that, of course, you cannot directly handle the mind. So you have to go through the body and the senses and the breathing, step by step, slowly reach the mind. That's why asana, pranayama, pratyahara, all step by step. It's a scientific approach. You doesn't have to believe in particular faith or religion. It's a common scientific term. So the essential teaching of yoga is to keep the mind calm. Because once the mind is calm, it becomes a beautiful mirror that really reflects your own true self. Your soul has the mind is in front of the soul. The soul sees itself in the mind. Mind is a mirror. And if the mirror is not clean, you will see yourself sort of unclean, dirty, or wavy, mixed up. Because according to the mirror, you see the image. So if you want to see the correct image in its own original essence, you clean up the mirror. So the mental mirror is to be cleaned, calmed, and then make it a beautiful reflector. And by that way, you see yourself in that mirror as whoever you are. Self-realization is called. The Bible also says the same thing. As one of the Beatitudes, it is said, blessed are the pure in heart. Blessed are the pure in heart. What will happen then? They shall see God. Is that what? But I think they omitted a little word there. They shall see themselves as God. Because blessed are the pure in heart. If the heart is pure, there's no commission, contaminated thing. It's clean, pure. It becomes a beautiful reflector. And if you have the beautiful, calm, clean reflector, you see God means, whom do you see there? Yourself. So you see yourself as God. So to know yourself, but knowing is difficult. Seeing is believing. You simply say you are God. How do you know you are God? Nowadays we say, I have to see it. So to see yourself as God, clean the mind. That is the essential teaching of yoga, which is a sort of common purpose behind any faith, any religion. Because all the religions help us to keep the mind calm, I don't know where Rabbi will agree to this or
I agree with everything.
argue with me.
No arguments.
No argument.
As a matter of fact, I remember many of the occasions with the Swami the Rabbi in New York. I was the first speaker, and then Gurudev would follow and he would say, now that you learned what yoga is about, I'll tell you about Judaism. Interestingly enough, that the same question you will find in the Talmud. The rabbis were discussing it. What is the most important teaching in the Bible, in Judaism? One of them said, well, the Shema, which we recited last night. Listen, O Israel, listen, O humankind, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And that is the whole concept of the interfaith, that we are all brothers and sisters. And therefore, is it possible that's why we don't like each other? But the idea being we should care because we have the same father and the same mother. Adonai and Shekhinah, the feminine part of God. So they said that is the most important part. And the word Echad, for those of you who know some Hebrew, describes the nature of God. There are 3 letters in that word, the Aleph and the Chet and the Daled. The Aleph stands that God is loving under all conditions. The Chet stands He's chesed, full of compassion. No matter how much we have sinned, He's ready to forgive if we are ready to change our lifestyle. And the Daled stands for the Veikut. He's cleaving unto us. This is a new concept in the Kabbalah. It was all there, but we didn't see it. Not only are we cleaving to God, and we have learned that in the Sunday school and the Hebrew school, that there's nothing we can do without God, but the new idea is there's nothing God can do without us, because we are all partners with God. The Hebrew word is Shutfei Elohim. What a beautiful title. I would like to put it on my card. Partner with God. Isn't that beautiful? That's my business. Partner with God. And you are a partner too. We're all partners. Partners with God. And then they found some other passages. I think they finally agreed that the most important part is actually that simple, beautiful sentence which says, Ve'ohavta lere'echa kamocha, to love thy neighbor as thyself. I tell you the truth. The reason I find this difficult, because I have no difficulty to love all the Indians, all the Africans. They're far away. But I have difficulty with my neighbor. In the same floor, we are still together. So when you manage to love your neighbor, then you're a lover. And the emphasis is on the word kamocha, as thyself, meaning begin with yourself, accept yourself, rejoice within yourself, realize the God, the Shekhinah within yourself. Only then are you able to love your neighbor or all the others of God's children. So the Shema is very important. The simple words means to listen. We don't know how to listen. You'll find two people who argue with each other, you know immediately they're not listening to each other. Very often between husbands and wives, or between parents and children. Most of all, as parents, we don't listen to our children. And all you need is one moment when the child realizes nobody's listening to me. Let me tell you a cute little story, a true story. Picture this family having dinner, and the telephone rings. And the child, he's about 30 years old, answers the telephone. The father said, "Who is it?" And she said, "The rabbi." Now, the man knows if the rabbi calls, he probably wants some money for the congregation. So he said, "Tell him I'm not home." All right? From that moment on, the child doesn't believe anything that the father says. It's a little thing, we're not aware of it. Or how often we'll hear very often mothers saying, "I'll kill you if you do this again." Of course she's not going to kill. But the child's mind is like the internet. It has been registered. My mother wants to kill me, and now it will cost them thousands of dollars in psychiatry to get it off. Speaking about, are you ready for a little story? Story is told about these mothers who are playing canasta, and they're all very proud of their children. So one of them said, these are Jewish mothers, by the way. And one of them said, "My son, the doctor, he has a beautiful office on Park Avenue, very, very successful. But every Friday before Shabbat, he calls me up and wishes me Shabbat Shalom. I love you, mother." Isn't that beautiful? The other one said, "My son is a lawyer. He lives in California. He too calls me every week. But not on Friday. He's not very religious, you know. But he calls me every week to find out how I am, and we talk to each other." And the other lady is a little bit quiet, and finally she said, "Well, my son has some problems, and he goes to a psychiatrist every day. But who do you think he's talking about? Me." So I would say in modern terms, the most important part that would be in the Bible, that's what the word Shema means. Listen. We are not listening. We are not listening to each other. We are not listening to the inner, still, small voice which is constantly telling us, "You are my partner, you're not living up to the bargain," and the business of life will go bankrupt. And that's what's happening. Whenever we complain, and if you're really to God or about God, if you listen, God will tell you, "Where were you? I was ready. You didn't help me. We have to do this together." So the Shema would be the most important part, and then the other one, to love thy neighbor as thyself.
I think that's the reason God created one mouth and 2 ears. And even the mouth is shut up, well closed. So talk less, ready to listen always. Ears are never closed. So God has a purpose in making the mouth shut like that. Shut up and listen. That's what once Sage Arunagiri went to God. "God, I've been doing all kinds of prayers, rituals, worship you, talk about you a lot. I still didn't get the real stuff. What should I do?" And God said, "Summa iru sollara." Keep quiet, shut your mouth. It's in the verse. He himself says that when I approached God, this is what God told me. Summa iru, keep quiet. Sollara, shut your mouth. Don't talk. So when we stop talking, as Rabbi says, we have the opportunity to listen more. The God talks always, but our noise is too much. We don't hear that. See, if you calm your mind and shut up your activities, you can actually feel and hear God talking to you. And that's what you are doing in meditation. You don't have to do anything. Go there, simply sit quietly. Sit quietly. Quieten your mind. Then you will hear God talking to you.
Lately, God is not saying keep quiet. He says, shut up.
Because keep quiet doesn't seem to... You are used to saying, shut up. So God is tired of saying, keep quiet, keep quiet, keep quiet. So ultimately he said, come on, shut up. Okay, we shut up.